Here's the 6 fastest ways to start making better beats based on my experience over the last 2 decades. Truth is, there's really only 2 ways to get better fast. 1, creation. 2, education. Creation, literally just making more beats. 2, education, learning how to make better beats. But within those categories, there's 3 different things that you should be doing that will actually enhance each of those categories. So within creation, there's 3 different types of beats that you should be creating. You have your standard beat, your experimental beat, and then your creative beat. Your standard beat is literally whatever you normally make. This shouldn't take you any time. As a matter of fact, this should be your fastest beat that you typically make. Why? Because these are the beats where you already have your template, you already have your sounds, you already have your drums picked out, your instruments picked out, your VST plugins, your effects chains. And if you don't have these, you should definitely be creating these folders filled with those presets and sound banks for yourself. In FL Studio, I just use the browser and create my own banks of sounds. Something that I do different though, I don't save presets. Instead, I save channel settings. That way I could save even my drum samples and manipulate those however I want. But in general, just having all of your stock go-to sounds and your go-to template ready for you to go without thinking about it at all, that's really one of the keys to start making better beats faster. Now you might be wondering, how do you even come up with all your standard sounds? Well, every time you make a beat, I would go ahead and start saving your leads, your basses, your drums, save those channel settings or whatever DAW you use. Just save those presets into your own packs. Same deal with your template. When you start noticing that you're doing something over and over again, go ahead and incorporate that into your template. For example, I have sidechain already in my template. I have send tracks already in my template. I have parallel tracks already in my template. I already have buses already in my template. I even have experimental tracks already in my template so that whenever I want to experiment with different effects chains, I can immediately just pull those up and not really have to think about it, along with go-to effects chains, like I said earlier. Which brings us to our second type of beat that we should be making, the experimental beat. This is literally just everything outside of your standard folders. So now you're not using the presets anymore. Now you're not using your saved sounds, your saved VSTs, your saved effects chains. You're reaching for those third-party plugins that you never really touched before, or even the stock plugins that you never really messed with. But that doesn't mean that these beats should take you forever to start making either. These should be just as quick as your standard beat. You really shouldn't be thinking about these at all. This is just your chance to start using that new drum kit or that new plugin that you just bought. This isn't one of those times where you get intimate with these plugins or these sounds. This is more of a time to explore happy accidents. So you're still using presets, just not the presets that you already have. Just the ones that are built into the plugin and not the ones that you created or ones that you've messed around with. Sure, you can make a tweak here or there, but overall, it's all about just speed and finding something really cool and then adding that to your stack of your personalized sounds. And then that gets us into the third type of beat that we should be making, which is the creative type, which essentially is just a combination of the experimental and the standard. After a while, you'll have your folder of all of your standard sounds, your experimental sounds, but those sounds will be uniquely you, the sounds that you resonate with the most. And it's likely you aren't the only one that resonates with those sounds the way that you do. So when you put those together, that's how you start developing what we call your sound. And you'll find that in that third type of beat, the creative beat, where you're actually implementing the experimental effects and the experimental plugins and the third-party sounds that you never really use, or maybe you use one-shots for the first time. You're adding all these colors to your palette, but now you're being more intentional about it. Now you're actually taking your time and tweaking things a little bit more, seeing how much further you could push things. Now you're going deeper into things like automation and adding more movement into your sounds within the settings of the plugin or within the settings of your sampler or within the settings of your effect rack. And within that process, you're going to create even more effects chains and more sound banks and more drums and so on and so forth. So save all those, and now you have your creative palette, which really should just be the most modern sound that you currently have that is based on your own sound. And that's how you keep leveling yourself up. Just to kind of add one last gem with those 3 beats, try to get yourself to do all 3 of those beats in one day. Specifically start off with your standard beat, because that should require no thinking at all. You're just pulling in presets, you're pulling in sounds that you've already used, You're not trying to make it sound good. You're not even thinking about mixing it. You're just literally using whatever you have available within your palette. Then jump into the experimental. Don't use anything from your template or your folders or your go-to sounds. Now you're actually exploring other sounds, but you're still not taking your time. So your first 2 beats should just be super quick. You're not really thinking about it. You're just putting in the normal drum patterns that you normally make, the normal bass lines that you normally make, the normal chords that you usually use. Maybe you're even pulling in your previous MIDIs and you're just trying out different sounds with your experimental sounds. That's a great recommendation, actually. Just use your MIDIs from your previous beats and then use the experimental sounds over those same MIDIs so that you're not really wasting your time composing. You're actually just exploring what could be manipulated and what could be added into your new sound palette. From there, then you go in and start manipulating the melodies and the bass lines and the drum patterns, so on and so forth. And by doing those 2 beats, you'll be nice and warmed up for your creative beat, the beat that you actually take time and be more artistic with and more intentional with and care about the mixing, care about the sound design, care about the sound selection, care about the drum patterns and the arrangement. You don't need to do that on your standard and your experimental beats. And that's really what you see a lot of producers doing on YouTube when you're watching us. You're seeing us create our standard beat or something experimental, but it's very rare that you're actually watching us take our time and trying to be creative with adding in some new trick that we've experimented with before, but now we know that we could add it into our arsenal and now we're finally doing it on screen. It's rare that you're actually seeing those really creative moments, especially when people are just flying through these beats. But every once in a while, you'll find a streamer that is on there for like an hour or 2 and they're really taking their time. They do exist and they're combining a lot of the different things that we just went over. So that's the creative side, but what about the educational side? So here's the 3 fastest ways to make better beats using education. So we already mentioned the obvious elephant in the room, YouTube. Problem with YouTube, there's just a lot of content out there. I actually started before YouTube existed, so I was lucky enough to actually see the rise of YouTube music content creators uploading and progressing and getting better with delivering the information. And that's actually why I got started. I felt like around the time when I got started, there was still a gap in the market for people to just quickly deliver information that you really needed and move on. So I didn't wait for any fancy equipment or anything like that. I just started recording videos and sharing my information. But that being said, there are a lot of people on YouTube because it is that easy to just get started. So who do you actually go to listen to and find out who's best for you? What I would suggest doing is actually writing down 3 to 5 problems that you are aware of with your production and just focus on typing in those specific problems into YouTube and finding 3 to 5 YouTubers that are covering those topics that you're struggling with the most, and then just ignoring everybody else, ignoring all the suggested videos, ignoring all the new clips that you see, all the new shorts. Just focus on a small handful of creators, and that way you won't get lost in the sauce of really chasing multiple rabbits of, oh, let me try and make this better. Oh, let me try and make this better. Just focus on your main weaknesses with YouTubers that you see covering those weaknesses in a way that you're resonating with the most. And that way you'll learn a lot faster than most people that are just watching video after video with no direction whatsoever. So way number 2, courses. I think everyone in the community is kind of sick of courses from what I've been seeing ever since I stepped away. I've never done a course. I don't plan on ever doing a course, but I am offering something that I think can help producers in the future. However, but I'm only offering it to people that are really engaged with my content. So you'll have to keep watching the video to find out what that is. There's a free version and a paid version, so you'll have to just keep watching. But the problem with courses is I'm not sure how accurate this statistic is, but on experientify.com, they're a course creation platform. They have a statistic written on there that says 97% of people don't finish courses or something along those to that effect. And I know the number is high because I'm actually someone that takes pride in finishing the courses that I purchase. I buy a lot of courses and workshops and things like that. And, I like to make sure that if I buy it, I actually want to finish and, at least figure out what information I might be missing, because 9 times out of 10, most of these courses that I take, it's not the course as a whole that you need. And I think that's why people don't finish. I think that's why people don't finish, because it's not really the course that you need, because these courses are designed to help as many people as possible. So they're cramming a lot of information, not knowing what level you're at. Everyone's on a different level, a different end of the spectrum in terms of how complete they are as a producer or whatever course that you're taking. And when you run into that scenario, really there might only be a lesson or two in that whole entire curriculum that is actually effective for you or valuable for you. So that's the problem that I have with courses and charging X amount for, because you just don't know what that person really needs when random people are just buying your course. So anytime I do a course, it's probably going to be free, or there's just going to be a lot of information, or it's going to be in addition to something. It's going to be just an add-on, like you also get this course, rather than, hey, this is a course and this is how much it costs and that's it. Good luck learning what you need to learn. So I think that's the problem with courses nowadays, and why our community is so kind of fed up with them, because of the results that you typically end up getting. Which brings us to our third way of education and making better beats faster, which is one-on-one help, which is something that I've been doing for a long time. And I actually took a break the last 3 months from my music business because I wanted to reevaluate how effective one-on-one really is versus what I could be doing. And the problem with one-on-one, after you do it for as long as I've been doing and working with the companies that I've been working with and getting the results that I've been getting, your prices get to a certain point where you're not affordable for the community anymore. And I've even gotten that to the point where there's certain companies that I can't even work with. So that's why I've been kind of bouncing between the music industry and the cannabis industry. But that being said, I think another problem that I have with the whole one-on-one thing is how many people I can actually help at a time. It's just not a scalable business. There's only a certain amount of people that I can work with at once, even with my team, because that even gets complicated if you have too many clients, which means, you have to expand your team. And I'm not willing to do that. And I'm not necessarily willing to expand my team. I like the idea of keeping things small and controlled. So last 3 months, I decided I'm going to do something new and come back to YouTube and introduce a group coaching program. But not just a group coaching program, but also a free community for anyone that is needing help with their music production or just help as a music creator in general. So whether you're looking for a free community or if you're looking for direct help, I'm offering both. All you have to do is DM me on IG at InFlight Music and just DM me the word music creator as one word. Music spelled M-U-Z-I-K, creator as one word. If you're looking for the free community, that's how you'll get the access to the free community. If you're looking for the paid membership, where you're actually going to interact with me and our group, which will be a weekly meetup, then DM me the word music collective, M-U-Z-I-K, collective, all one word. And some of you out there actually might be on a different level. Some of you actually might be in my position a few years ago, where you were already skilled as a music creator, but you just didn't know how to monetize yourself as a music brand or as a music business. So if that sounds like you, then again, DM me at Inflight Music on IG, but DM me the word music mogul as one word, MUZIK MOGUL, Music Mogul. And if you want to grow faster than 99% of music creators out there and make thousands of dollars month after month, then like, subscribe, and click this next video. Learn not only how I did it, but how everyone else is going to be doing this in the future.